talking about that. I'm talking about something else. All right. Hetapu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasank Ma Keperu with another video for you. In this video, I want to talk about a manifestation technique called the trigger effect. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or when I upload recorded videos. We have also ebooks for you that expand on my spiritual teachings and talk more about the esoteric. You can click on the links below. Those books are free. Just download them and start reading them today. And if you're not already a supporter of ours on Patreon, consider becoming a supporter. You can do so for as little as $1, $5, $20 a month. It's up to you. You can cancel anytime, and you get exclusive access to instructional videos, everything from how to meditate to how to invoke spirits. Lastly, please share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. And in this time, in this age, we want to shift the vibration of the planet to something more conducive to life-affirming beings. Haru Nefer, Anachulak, how are you? Well, so I want to talk about a really, really interesting subject, which is the trigger effect. And we're going to get deep into that. And I want to just know how you guys are doing with COVID-19. How are you facing that challenge? Are you meeting it as gods, not as humans, not as animals? The Kemetic people call the animal nature Sahu. So you never want to be Sahu. And if anybody calls you Sahu, you correct them and say, I am not Sahu, I am Neter, God, indwelling intelligence, the God dwelling within this vehicle. And this vehicle is solely for the purpose of having an experience on this fourth dimensional plane. That is why you chose to incarnate, because you want to explore a theme, a destiny. Because Neter, or Nebechur, Lord of all, wants to explore as many different themes as possible. This is why you are a multi-dimensional being. You're having many different experiences simultaneously in this one singularity, this one collapse of the matrix into this singularity. But you're only aware of this one experience, even though you're having an infinite number of experiences. That is how vast and powerful you truly are in the Charak. All right. And the ruling elite, the Cabal, know that you are very powerful, which is why they use you as a battery, as an engine to manifest their reality, to manifest their world. But when you come into the knowledge of yourself and who you really are, you break their hold, and they no more have mastery over you. You become your own master. You become the king on the throne, Heru. But right now, you are not Haru. You are Harukuhuti, doing battle at Benhutet, battling yourself, set within you, the animal nature within you, because the goal is to be at peace. And from peace comes power. That is the only way that we can manifest our power and manifest our true nature if we first fall back into a state of Amen, of peace. So whatever challenge comes your way, face it, laugh at it, and know that you have within you the goddess, Sekert, goddess and mastery of the 72 Vedic mantras, the words of power that created the universe and reality. And you can possess those 72 mantras. So you have them. They're locked within you in the Akashic records, hidden within different gates. And when you open those gates, you gain mastery to those words of power. And you come into your rightful place on this planet as Oser, as God on earth. Never forget that there is no external world. There's no external God. You're one with all. And that is what Oser teaches us. Oser is unity. Because when you reach that level, you realize even your enemies are one with you. And then when you start to move to the next level and start working with light beings, these light beings will teach you that one of your roles is to help those who we call evildoers to transcend. And you will help them. You will help them see the light. But first, you must see the light. First, you must assume the throne of Kemet. You must assume the throne of the world. So therefore, you are Haru in training. And through your mother, Isis, Aset, you will be devoted to the pursuit of spiritual culture, devoted to the pursuit of your power, so that no thing will oppose you. So let us talk about a very powerful manifestation technique that I stumbled across years ago when I was studying hypnosis and NLP. It's called the trigger effect, and it comes directly out of Pavlov's dog. I'm not sure if you know the story, but this is where the psychologist Pavlov was doing a test. He would feed his dog, and then when he fed his dog, he would ring a bell. And then one day he stopped feeding his dog, and then he rang the bell, and he noticed that his dog was salivating, waiting for the meat to come, but the meat never came. But still, the dog salivated and it waited. So a light went off, and he realized that we have an aspect to us, an animal nature to us, or a reptilian brain that is reactionary. It is the fight or flight mechanism within you that gets you to respond. Because remember, if you had to stop and critically think about something, that could be dangerous. You know, you're running and there's a cliff and you're about to run off the cliff. You don't stop and think, should I stop now? No. You have that mechanism within you, self-preservation, the reptilian brain, which immediately stops you from going over that cliff. And that's symbolized by the Fool card in the tarot deck. Now, I want to talk about manifesting a new reality for you, a technique that will help you. Because right now, we are seeing the unfolding of a reality that we don't want, a reality where everyone's afraid. Fear dominates, anxiety dominates. So what do we do? Well, you see, the ruling elite know that. So they have programmed certain trigger effects or mechanisms in us to get us to have those knee-jerk reactions to fear, to panic buy. Go to the supermarket, buy everything you can. Doesn't matter if you need it or not. Just panic buy. Because they know that we have the aspect in us that will just jump when we are afraid, when we are in fear. The problem with that is it short circuits the God within us. We want to let the God rise within us and let God take control of our lives and not the animal. So it started when I was dating this very, very, very pretty girl, because I only date pretty girls. Okay. Her and I would go to Jamba Juice together, and we would sit there and we would sip a protein drink. She had her favorite. I had my favorite. Everyone knew us there. They knew us by name. We would go there religiously every other day, I would say. And then one day we broke up. We had a big fight. Of course, she was wrong, but we had a big fight. And I went back to that Jamba Juice and I ordered a juice. And of course, the gentleman behind the counter says, "Where is your mate?" And I said, "Long story." So as I sat down to enjoy my protein drink, I took a sip. And before I knew it, I was taken back to where I actually thought that my girlfriend was sitting in front of me. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. What happened there? And I didn't realize that because her and I were so emotionally involved with each other at the height of emotions, that when I would sip that Java juice, it was an anchor, as we call it in NLP or hypnosis, so that every time I would taste that particular protein drink, every time I would drink it, it would remind me of her, even though she was not even present anymore. And that got me thinking of the power of an anchor. And I was saying, there has to be something to this. This is interesting. So then I remember getting this job once that I really loved. And I would come home and continue to work. But when I would come home, I created this, well, I bought this little bell and I would hang on my wall. And when I would walk in the door, I would press the button and the bell would go off. And I felt so elated and happy because I was at this awesome job and I had this very awesome, expensive apartment and the job was paying me a lot of money. But then as I moved on and the job was done, I moved to a new city. And I didn't have a job that was making just as much money. Well, I wasn't making as much money as the previous job. And I was a little bit down about that. And then I took that little buzzer and I put it up at my wall. And every day I would come home from work and I wasn't enjoying my job, I would hit that buzzer and then it would ring. And then I would be taken back to the time when I had that awesome job and that awesome apartment. And then I started doing it again and again, coming home, hitting that buzzer day after day. And then suddenly I noticed something. I got a better job, paying more money. And then I got a better apartment. And I said, what is going on? There's occult magic at work here that I didn't even realize. You see, and I'm going to talk about this a little later. The Heteru faculty within you is very powerful. See, the Heteru is the goddess of the imagination. She is the goddess of joy. She's the goddess of love. You'll find that much of the magic and the work that you do depends heavily upon emotion, upon visualization. And what I was doing back in those days, I didn't even realize it, is I was engaging the Heteru faculty. And I was working magic without even realizing I was working magic. Because I had programmed my spirit to a certain conditioning, to a certain amount of money I was making, to a certain job. And when I didn't have those things, the program mechanism was still within me. So when I hit that bell in that old apartment, not having that good pay in that old job, the bell would go off and my mind would recall when I was paid a lot of money and had that great apartment. And because every day I came home, I kept hitting that bell, I engaged the Heteru faculty, the imagination, the emotion, and I held that image in my head. And I felt it. And then suddenly I got promoted. And then I got a better apartment. And then I got a better job. We are creatures that can be programmed very easily. And the ruling elite knows this. And they have programmed us through social engineering. And the programs are so subliminal, so sinister, so sublime that you don't see it. And what they do in occult wisdom and magic is they create what we call as sigils. Little weird geometric shapes that when you look upon them make no sense to you, but they communicate to the subconscious mind. And because those geometric shapes also have frequencies to them, tied to them, they also are a type of a mantra. So you may be walking down the street going, la, 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 and you see a weird shape. Okay. You don't think nothing of it. And then suddenly you're hit with anxiety. You're hit with fear. And then suddenly things start to manifest in your reality and you're wondering, I hate my life. My life is terrible. Why do I have such a life? Because you manifested it, not realizing that you manifested it. It was a trigger effect. You saw the symbol, but you did not know what you were seeing. But the subconscious mind still responded in kind. It triggered you to activate your power, to manifest something that you do not want. And that is what's happening now. We are beings that can be programmed very easily, like Pavlov's dog, to manifest their reality or our reality. Doesn't matter. You're going to manifest something. You have to manifest something because you have to experience something. That's what your purpose is here for. You are here to experience something. So why not experience what you want and not what they want? Start to reprogram your spirit. How do we do that, Kasank? How do we reprogram our spirit? Through constant visualization, constant emotional indulgence. You don't like this reality? I understand that. I don't like it either. So visualize the reality that you want. Now, people will say, I've tried that visualization, but it doesn't work. Well, that's because you didn't empower it with an emotion. When I was taking a sip of the protein drink, me and my mate, we were in love. She was in love with me more than I was in love with her, of course. But anyway, I digress. But we were in love. And because of that, the nectar was so sweet. When I would sip it, it programmed my spirit to where when she wasn't even present and I sipped it, I thought of her. What a sweet, sweet memory. Netchum. So when we were both working on Heteru at the time, so Heteru played a trick on me. Heteru said to Kasank, I'm going to take your mate away and let me see and test you if you still will have joy in your heart. But I fooled Heteru. I was still joyful. Can you be joyful when everything is taken away from you? When you have nothing left in the world? Yes, you can. Because you're a God. You're not a man. You're not a woman. You're a God. But again, I digress. So I want you to think about programming your spirit. Think of what you want. Do you want to go back before COVID-19 to the way it was and experience that again? Fair enough. Visualize it. Now indulge the emotions. Feel it. Feel the great feelings of the freedom of going out there and mingling with other people, of being able to go to the store and the stores are not closed and you're not worried about somebody sneezing on you. Feel that. And now, let us go to the master Bruce Lee to teach us what to do next. Now that you have the visualization, now that you're holding an image and you're indulging it with emotions, you must, as Bruce Lee says, when you do the punch, you must commit 100%. You must now get into expectancy and say, this visualization will come to pass. I have no doubt. I have no doubt whatsoever. And you hold it day in and day out, day in and day out, indulging the emotions, holding that visualization, holding it, and giving thanks to the goddess Heteru while you're at it, of course, but holding that visualization, to the point of where no doubts crop into your mind, that you are certain that that visualization will manifest, and it will. It has no choice but to do so because you're a God. You command it. But you must fully commit to the visualization. It must be your highest excitement. It must be what you really want. Here's a little secret. What I really wanted was for my girlfriend to get out of my life. I wanted her to go. You're a headache. Goodbye. Go. She's gone. I'm joyful. Okay. That's why I was able to maintain my joy. But I'm kidding, but let's get serious here. You hold that image with an emotion for as long as you can. As I gave you the example of me coming home and hitting that buzzer. I did it every day, nonstop, every day, 6 months, nonstop. Now, eventually, the effect will dissipate. The energy will dissipate. That's okay, ignore it. It's just a suggestion. Keep focused on the goal. And what you're going to see is visualizations, is synchronicity. You're going to see things start to align so that what you want starts coming to you slowly but surely, slowly but surely. And those are the signs and the goalposts that you need to look for, because you know it's coming. You know your magic is working. Now, you could, of course, get a mantra. You can work with mantra. That's perfectly reasonable. Mantras are actually even more powerful because they will call up the energy. But in absence of the mantra, work with the visualization and the emotion and stay the course. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can anchor that. In other words, something is simple, something very simple can anchor it. For example, you're visualizing what you want and you're indulging yourself. And you say you'll do this for 5 minutes a day. That's reasonable. And every day you do that, you take a little bit of peppermint candy and you put it in your mouth, and then you visualize and you visualize, and you do it for about 28 days, which is a full moon cycle. And then after that point, you don't think about visualizing anymore. You pull out the peppermint candy and you put it in your mouth, and lo and behold, the visualization comes up. You triggered it. And then the next day, you pull out that peppermint candy, make sure there's no sugar because you don't want too much sugar in your diet. You put it in your mouth, and then the visualization comes up again. That's the trigger, you see. That's how it works. But the main thing that you need to take away from this is that you must hold the image of what you want, and it must be your highest excitement. It must get you going, in other words. You know what I mean? When you think about it, there's just an excitement within you. You know, when I think about filmmaking, I'm excited. You know, wow, filmmaking. I love filmmaking. I love going to the set. I love shooting. I'm excited about that. And that's your goal. And also that kind of tells you in a way what you were meant to do in this lifetime. You know what I mean? Some people love having a family, and that excites them. They love coming home to their kids and their family. That's great. That excites them. Then visualize your wife doing everything you tell her to do. I'm just kidding. Just visualize your wife and your relationship being harmonious. Okay. Now, when this comes to money, this is where people get tripped up on, you see. Because although they can visualize themselves with money, it becomes difficult for them to emotionally hold it for an extended period of time. And therefore they give up, and it doesn't manifest in their lives. So you can't give up. And an indication of when you give up is that it wasn't your highest excitement. Because if you're truly passionate about something, if you truly want something, you will stay the course. It will not disappear. Bruce Lee was committed to being the best. He practiced every day. Many martial artists, including Chuck Norris, envied him for how dedicated he was to his training. And you should be the same. Set aside some time during your day and tell your wife, your kids, whatever, not to disturb you. And you visualize what you want. And add whatever anchor that you want. It could be the little bell on the wall like mine, or it could be peppermint candy, whatever. But you'll find it's a very powerful technique that works across the board, because not only does it work to help you manifest things in your life, but it can make you calm and confident in very challenging situations. If you are visualizing yourself being calm all the time and taking that little peppermint in your mouth, and then when you're sitting there, and then you're at your class and the professor calls on you to come up there and write on the board or what have you, you will do so with confidence. You won't be nervous anymore. But what I want you to understand that our goal is to subdue the animal spirit within us, to overcome that, as in the story of Osiris and Aset, where Haru subdued Set so that he could function out of his higher aspects, his higher mind, and not the lower animal natures. Because if we don't get a grip on this, they will always be able to put the signs and symbols and the metaphors and the images in front of us. And it will cause us to act against our own nature. Right now, when I look at the state of Black films, hip hop music, it saddens me. Because if you really could see with your third eye and hear what's being played, you will see that they have injected such demonic things within the music, within the movies, and we don't even realize it. And don't bother trying to tell other people about it because they won't believe you. The other day I was trying to explain to someone, well, you know why they make these Black movies is because they get these Black movies, they throw in alcohol, cigarettes, and drug use to condition your mindset. So you'll start to do these things, that you'll go out there and buy Hennessy. You'll go out there and buy a pack of cigarettes. They are programming you. They don't make Black movies because they want to. They make them because that's an avenue of opportunity to them to program you. Look at the hip hop music. That music could be used to liberate the people globally. That music was a gift from the gods, but it has been perverted by the major record companies. Not by the artists. The artists are the peons, because they lay the lyrics down with take Molly, get high, slap your bitch around, all kinds of stuff. And you think it doesn't have an effect upon you, but it does. It has an effect upon your spirit. Let me hip you to something on how magic works. You see, let me explain this. White supremacy, as we call it, the establishment of Western civilization did not happen through their intellectual acuity, okay? They weren't the smartest. They weren't the gifted. They gained because they understood the 100 monkey principle. They understood the law of Ma'at. You see, when you collectively can influence a group on a subliminal level, that collective, unsaid, subliminal agreement gets them to manifest a certain reality. And the reality that they're getting us to manifest is that they're in power, that everything is white is all right. Do you understand that? You see, only a stupid person would say, no, I'm not manifesting anything. I'm not going to be programmed. I can see all the stuff that they're doing. Well, if you could see it, it wouldn't be programming, would it? You're dealing with master Black magicians. They know how to fuck with your psyche. They know how to get in there and mess shit up. For number one, it creates a shadow side within you, which is based on the Hegelian dialectic, meaning You're polarized in thinking. So that means that you support racism. You do. You support racism. And don't tell me you don't. You do support racism. Because when you engage in polarized thinking, right, wrong, good, bad, you support racism. You're supporting the Hegelian dialectic. Now, if you were reprogramming yourself and say all things have a complementary element, then you're changing the paradigm. Which is why I tell people you're not going to get rid of racism by little sayings or sound bites like tolerance. Can't we all get along? No, you're not going to do that. It's not going to go away. It's not going to go away with laws. The only way that you can get rid of it is to stop being trapped in left brain concrete thinking, where you start to integrate the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. That is the only way you can do away with racism. That's a vibrational shift that changes the game. But anyway, I digress. So what I'm telling you is that even though you're not maybe aware of what's going on, you may enjoy the movie for entertainment's sakes, but it has planted in there seeds to get you to manifest certain things. You're dealing with clever people. Your problem is you underestimate them. You think they're stupid. They're not stupid. They're very sinister. This is why I tell you that you are a receiver of thoughts and ideas, and that you're not responsible for those thoughts and ideas because they travel the airwaves and they hit you. But if you take it in and you dwell upon it and you indulge it, then you're responsible for it and you're held accountable for it. This is why you've got to filter out a lot of things that are going on. This is why you've got to meditate constantly on the world that you want to come to pass. You must be devoted like Isis, a Set. So I want you to try that technique, that visualization technique, that trigger technique, and be creative with it. Heteru is the goddess of creativity. When I learned of that and I read about Pavlov's dog, I started doing lots of different things to see how it would work. Program yourself to manifest money. Program yourself to manifest love. Program yourself to manifest a new job. And in fact, when you get to the higher reaches of magic, and let me get you into the secret, they do things to break your psyche, to break it so that it can be reprogrammed with something else, because you are very cemented into this reality. And to get you to pull away from it is going to be hard. That's why when you become an initiate into the occult and you go to the higher and higher levels, they start to do things to try and break your psyche. Now, that could be bad, that could be good, depending on who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with those from the Golden Dawn, if you're dealing with those of a higher light vibration, then great. So think about that. Think about the world you want. Think about how dedicated you are to achieving that. So we just want to say hi to the Magi's here. Michael Aser, Hatepu, Angela Hatep, Spiritual Elevation, Namaste, and Valentina Hatepu. Thank you for attending this broadcast today. Any questions before I sign off? Any questions? I know I tripped you guys, didn't I? Because usually I don't ask questions. Oh, I don't ask you to ask questions. Is that correct? So everybody's quiet now. Ah, good, good, good. No one has any questions? Going once? Going twice? Great. All right. So stay at peace, stay safe. I went outside. I did go to some supermarkets and they did have food. They did have food. I was surprised because when you look at the news media, they're talking about, oh, the shelves are bare and all that, but I saw food. When I went outside, I felt like I was in the movie I Am Legend because there was no one out there on the streets, and that really surprised me. I was like, "Where is everybody? This is weird." And, usually people are walking here and walking there. You know what I mean? So, thank you for attending this broadcast. And until the next broadcast, this is Kasankma Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Heteru, goddess of the imagination. Until my next broadcast, I'm in Ra.